Good evening, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I am Tarrick McGuire, T-A-R-R-I-C-K, McGuire, M-C, capital G-U-I-R-E. I'm the Chief of Police here in Alexandria, Virginia. About a week ago, our community experienced a deeply troubling incident, an attempted burglary, where we know 3 individuals approached a residence wearing Halloween masks and making multiple threats, terrifying the local family. The event was captured on the family's home Ring video camera, and it was shared widely with media. This event has gotten national attention. Our department immediately responded to this event and launched a full investigation to determine what occurred and who was responsible. I previously stated that we would identify those that was involved in this event. And today I want to provide an update on this specific case. But first, before I do that, joining me are members of our criminal investigations team, and I want to acknowledge them. Lieutenant Cynthia Hurley, Lieutenant Vaccaro, Detective McNamara, Detective Kramerick, Detective Gibson, and Detective Larson. This investigative team has dedicated over 100 hours to this actual investigation. I also want to clarify the timeline of events. On October the 14th, we received a 911 call, initially reported as a suspicious event. Later, this was upgraded to a burglary in progress. Our officers arrived on scene within 2 minutes of being dispatched. Through interviews with this family, investigators have learned the initial victim first contacted her brother instead of calling the police. And once we were called again, we immediately responded. A significant break came after our first press conference. We received multiple tips that created valuable leads. Following those leads, investigators discovered that the 3 masked individuals were related to the victim. An adult female suspect later confessed that her and her 2 sons and her nephew, early in their teens, were responsible for approaching the home. In addition, there were 2 adults and a child in the immediate area filming or standing by for the conclusion of this event. In total, there were 3 adults and 4 children involved, what we now know was a prank. I want to specify the victim had no knowledge of this event. Because the family has chosen not to press charges, the suspects will not be publicly identified. While this incident may not result in a criminal prosecution, for me, my team, and for this community, it represents a moral failure. A moral failure where consequences could result in deadly consequences. I want to specify this because we have saw this type of behavior around the country where people have done pranks and they have resulted in people being seriously injured or losing their lives. And as we approach this Halloween season, I want to ensure that everyone knows here within our community that we will be taking actions to not only be visible on the streets, but we also will be providing safety tips this week to ensure that everyone has a holiday experience that is going to be well and safe. And so I'm subject to any questions that anyone has.
I know the charges aren't going to be filed because the family doesn't want charges filed, but you just said that it took 100 hours of manpower to solve this case. Should they not pay some sort of restitution or something?
So in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the family cannot decide to press charges, but the Commonwealth attorney can decide whether to move forward with charges or not. In the interest of justice and us identifying what has happened and occurred, I am speaking about this publicly. As I talked about it earlier, it is a moral failure, and we have taken the action to investigate it. And at this time, we're still deciding not to move forward with charges after consulting with the family and also talking with the Commonwealth attorney.
Well, my question was, since this family perpetrated this hoax, should they not be responsible for the cost of investigating this case?
So again, that was our decision that we have made collectively. I want to send a clear message, right? Number one, that adults should be accountable for their children. They should not exercise this type of behavior, but this is hopefully will be a learning experience for this family, and these are the actions that we've decided to take at this time.
Chief, when this incident happened, did somebody go go outside with a firearm to investigate? Could this in fact have been a deadly incident that occurred? And then also just, you know, your response when you learned that it was family and children involved.
So I think you're absolutely right to ask that question. What we do know is that the victim in this incident called her brother. Her brother responded to the scene with a firearm instead of what I just said earlier, calling us. And so absolutely it could have resulted deadly. We know that the persons were at the door. Although it was a prank, they were making threatening comments. And I think that the victim called a family member who she believed was close. And you're absolutely right, as I want to emphasize to everyone, these are not pranks, right, to be taken lightly. It is a very serious incident, and while they had no knowledge that this were persons that they knew, it could have been deadly if that action was taken.
Chief, have you been able to speak with the people involved, the family members? What did they have to say? And as far as, was this simply a joke in their minds?
So our detectives, again, have worked diligently to speak with the family, right? This has been a significantly week-long process to where we have tried to identify how people feel, what does justice mean to them, right? And they made a decision that they did not want to prosecute against their family. As you can imagine by looking at the video and also reporting it to the police, they were absolutely terrified with this happening occurred. But we have to, again, look at all the circumstances to include if this should go to court, if it did go to court, would the victim per se show up to speak against their family member or prosecute. Again, I hope it's a lesson learned, not just for this particular family, but for anyone else in the community during this holiday season.
I think his question was about the guys who
wearing the masks.
in masks.
Did you guys speak to the people wearing the masks?
So our detectives have spoken to them, and specifically the mother that was involved, who gave the full confession. I made a plea that we would get tips from our community, but also the persons that are involved, it would be a lot easier if they came forward.
Was there consideration to charge them for wearing masks in public, which is a violation?
So there were multiple considerations, as I just stated. But again, from a human perspective, while this was very challenging, we also have to ask, does the individual desire to prosecute against their family? And I think that they decided not to, and we have to work through that to try to respect that decision.
What was the reason for the prank?
I don't know, right? It was Halloween. I think that, to define a prank is to scare someone, but I don't think that there was an actual motive other than what we know.
Well, how long after the initial press conference did they come forward and confess? What was that timeline there?
Well, I will say probably several days after the initial press conference, we received multiple tips. And those multiple tips were persons from a neighboring jurisdiction that had some knowledge based off of this, and that gave our detectives some leads to follow up on.
So they didn't come forward and raise their hand. You guys contacted them and they said, oh, yeah, it was us.
You're correct.
Exactly. When was that?
So the family members, some of these involved lived outside of the city of Alexandria. They came into the city to commit this prank.
Yes, you're right. They were in a neighboring county.
Yes, you said there were 3 adults, 4 children involved. Can you speak to the ages of the children who were involved? How young were these children?
So I think the average age of the young people that were involved in this incident were between 14 and 16 years of age. So they were teenagers.
And children, teenagers, they listen to what their parents tell them. And you were just talking about parents being accountable for their children, especially as they're sending them out to go trick or treat or go to parties or whatever it looks like for them this week. Can you speak to just, the importance of good parenting around this time?
Yeah, so I talked about this as a moral failure. At the end of the day, parents should be responsible for their children, right? And what's very disheartening about this situation is that you had adults that were engaging in this behavior, but also encouraging this behavior. And so, again, there is a moral responsibility to direct and provide guidance for your children, right? And in this case, they failed. And so it's a lesson for all of us that are parents and that are children, especially during this Halloween season. We know that this time of year, across the nation as we approach the holidays that crime increases, violent crime increases. And again, this particular situation, unbeknownst to the victim, could have resulted in a different action.
Can you clarify again who was caught on camera? You said it was an adult female and a child.
Yeah. So the initial 3 persons that you saw approach the door in the video with the Halloween mask on were the teenagers that we're speaking of. In the background, which was unbeknownst to everyone, there was filming that was going on from a camera on a phone. And then we also know that there were 2 vehicles that were on the street. They didn't walk to this location, right, that they walked up, got out the vehicles, and then ultimately drove away. So we know that there were a total of 3 adults as it relates to this event.
And while we're not naming names, are we talking about cousins, second cousins?
I believe that yes, there was a direct relationship from a cousin standpoint. It was a very close relationship.
Chief, you said it was a neighboring county. Can you be a little bit more specific as to where these folks are from? Arlington, Fairfax?
They're from Fairfax County.
Fairfax
Yes,
County.
yes.
And they did not target any other homes, it was just this one?
Not that we can confirm at this time. I will not say that because I think that, again, for other counties and for other areas, this still could be ongoing, but we have not verified or validated that there are other residents that they're targeting. We know that they were close to the persons that lived in this residence, again, and that the person that was the victim had no information that this was happening and occurring. And so when it was first initially reported to the media, that was very genuine. And our investigators, again, taking those leads, following up on those leads, were able to identify that they had a relationship to this family.
Chief, why do we have to wait so long to about this? If it was a prank, why didn't these family members just come out immediately and say, it's a joke, everybody, it's a prank? Like, why do we have to wait so long to hear this from you, sir?
Well, I think number one, James, my focus was for our team to identify who did this, right? And so we did an initial press conference as it related to this. I can't directly speak for the family, right? As this information evolved, and from a human perspective, you learn that your family members are involved and engaged in this. I can't speak to why there was no particular follow-up from them, but my person in doing this today was to provide clarity based off of the context of this story and event.
We know that the so-called victim is Shayla Whiteside, and we've interviewed her ourselves. Are you convinced that she had no idea these were family members?
Yeah, there's nothing to support that she did know, and I think that from the information that we have derived, she had no idea.
And you said someone was videotaping it. Was this done for social media clicks?
I don't think it was reposted on social media. I can't speak to what they, decided to do down the future. I can tell you that our team has done a series of search warrants to identify other additional information, and that is how we were able to follow up on leads, identify all persons involved, and actually get a confession.
And to be clear, so it happened on the 14th, but when did you actually contact those family members? What date was that?
As relates to the suspects?
Correct.
I'm not sure of that definitive timeline, but it's been within the last week.
Over the weekend, last Friday?
It wasn't over the weekend. It's been a series of moving events, and this team has been able to, again, bring those events and details together. But this has been excellent investigative work. It's been really done within a week. And so I would probably say, probably by last Friday, we had some good clarity on some good direction to narrow this case down.
Are you relieved it's a prank?
James, you're absolutely right. I am relieved that it is a prank again. I want everyone to be safe in this city. Our men and women at this department work tirelessly every day to try to make this one of the safest cities in America. And again, it goes back to the investigative work that has been done, the work of our officers. And so I'm proud of the work that they do every single day, but you're absolutely right. I'm happy this was a prank.
Chief, we have one last question from online. When did the additional information about the mass trio become apparent to APD?
Again, it's a series of tips that we received, and I think that it's important to note that we have to verify and validate what those tips are. And so I will probably say about near the end of the week, We had some good clarity on who was involved in this event. And so, we have moved forward and looked at all the factors and come to this concluding decision.
Okay, ma'am, final question?
Yeah, anything to say to the family member who came forward and gave you all details that you needed to move forward in this case?
Well,
Or,
what
I'm sorry, the person, I don't know if they were
yeah.
family.
No, what I will say is that, I made an appeal to the community for persons to come forward and do the right thing. I also made an appeal that if anyone knew anything about this incident, to step forward. And it speaks to the human decency that people care about what goes on here in and around our region. And so we are grateful and for our community and our partnerships, and we will continue to do the work that we do every single day.
And last one.
If in fact the family decided to press charges, what charges would have been brought against these individuals?
Well, the primary charge that we were facing was going to be burglary. And then I also think that the behavior that that influenced the behavior of these children from the negligence of the parent, we would have looked at that as well. So.
Thank you all for joining us
Thank you,
today.
Chief.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Have you guys have a handout, by any chance?
We do not, we